Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to today's AFK journey video. So let me just adjust my volume a little bit because I can't actually speak too loud. Okay, so for today's video, we're going to talk about the Celestial Hypogean priority guide. So this is a topic which I think a lot of people requested, and I usually will do a PowerPoint presentation for this. And for today's video, what we're going to do is we're just gonna talk about the units based off my account experience, like how much I run them and what I run them for, and who should go for what, how much investment would you need in terms of each of the Celestial Hypogean characters so far. Okay, so this is my own account, own global account right here. These are the different units I have. So we do have P4s, but generally speaking, Celestial Hypogean, they are a lot more costly. So typically, if they're not very useful, I don't push them past Paragon tiers. But these are the top 5, I'll say, like Celestial Hypogeans that you can invest in. So they are in like the best top priority to the lowest priority. So starting off, we'll talk about twins first. So all 5 units here, they are very versatile. Ever since they got released, they are useful at some point, either early game of the season or late game of the season. Very good for bossing, also usable for PvP. Very good scaling character for Relentless Rumble or mobbing, for example. So they all have some use across the board. But in terms of usage, twins is currently the most used unit all around, for the different buffing, for the control immunity, for the stats buff, energy regen, the heal, and just how splashable this unit is in different team setups. So if you don't know who to go for, you are new to the game, you want to go for a unit that will last for very long, very useful, good for your Dream Realm score, go for twins. Okay, twins has probably the longest longevity, because right now in the Celestial Hypogean slot itself, the next best support is Reina, but what Reina does versus twin is very different. So twins buffing potential and control immunity, and just how multifaceted twins is just really good and probably a long stay. So if you don't know who, go for twins first. Okay, next one I'll recommend is Baron. So Baron is one of the newer carry unit, and the reason why I say Baron over the likes of Harak and Fresto is not because Harak and Fresto is bad, but for this season, Baron is seeing way more usage in Dream Realm, which is typically where Harak and Fresto will be in the late game. But if you were to take a look at the current Dream Realm performance so far, if you just take a look at like the top teams shared by other people, as well as like the recommendation over here, Baron is seeing a lot more use compared to the likes of Fresto, as well as the light of Harak. So the thing about the difference between Harak and... Okay, so first of all, let's talk about Fresto and Baron first. So I think Fresto is slowly falling off on the damage side, because there are just stronger carries around. They're just stronger units that offers utility and carrying at the same time. For example, Shamira does a lot more damage. Pandora is able to do damage as well as offer the energy charging that the Fresto can do in the Dream Realm side, right? So this is where, like, for Fresto's case, I think there are a lot more alternatives. And even in the tank position, outside of Dream Realm, in other game modes, you have Theodore, which is a decently good buffer as a tank as well. And then you can use Iron Armors for your AFK stage. So Fresto has more substitutes compared to the past. And like whatever he can do, there are units that can substitute him. So that's why I put him lower than Harak in terms of the top 5. So that's why Fresto is here. I still do think that Fresto is good, even though like his usage is not as prominent as it used to be. It used to be twins and Fresto on every single endless Dream Realm boss. So it could be a thing with regards to the mechanics of the boss as well. So that is something which I cannot confirm, because it's something in the future, depending on what the devs want to, like do for the season 5 itself. But with regards to Baron and Fresto right now, I'll put Baron on a higher priority to be invested, because he's newer, so he will be less likely to be power crap in the near future. And at the very least right now, I think Baron is seeing more use in the late game, which usually is the Fresto domain. So like in terms of the late game usage, Fresto is higher, and whatever Fresto wants to do, there are other substitutes possible. So you have more options to replace Fresto. But for Baron's case right now, there just isn't a lot of true damage dealer that scales up in terms of damage compared to Baron. So like Meryl's another true damage dealer, but doesn't scale up as much. So Baron is true damage, and for Harak's case, Harak is physical carry with the HP percentage damage. So if you take a look at all these different bosses right here, the only boss that Harak is seeing use is Necro Dragon. But for this season itself, one of the reasons why Harak is not seeing that much use is also because Shamira is just everywhere, and Shamira does way more damage than anyone else. And this is where Harak's eating mechanic might not be the best, because if your Harak eat up your Shamira, then you're gonna lose your damage on Shamira, right? So this is where Baron comes in to combo with Shamira a little bit better. So we need to understand why this unit is seeing less use, because of how the meta is shifting. So I don't know how the meta will shift, but in terms of the ranking itself, there's a potential that Harak may fall out of favor. Like, he could be the lowest priority in the top 5. But I think in terms of what Harak wants to do, Harak is a very steamrolly character that has a great potential to carry the team, right? If you build around him. So he's actually quite usable for PvP as well. And more importantly, if the mechanic permits, I think he's still a very good damage dealer. If the boss, as well as obviously the best units to combo with him, can actually go well with him, he could still be an insanely good physical attacker, which is what Baron can do, but Baron is more true damage by nature. Although Baron also has physical damage, but Harak's physical damage actually scales up a lot more because he eats up other allies to get more stats. So that's that. So in a sense, Baron as well as Harak, they're very similar, but if you were to base it on current usage, Baron is more used. So I'll give Baron the higher priority and then Harak the third priority. So some of you guys might be thinking, hey, if I have Baron, then Harak is not so attractive and I have other like physical attackers like Sinbad, then what you can do is you can go for this order. Yeah, so Feresto, even though there are more substitutes, but technically Feresto is still the best tank for tanking, for utility, for damage. So like I don't think investing in him will be wrong. Although the thing about Harak and Feresto is they have been around for quite a while, and there's a possibility that the next Celestial Hypogean can replace what they want to do, especially Feresto, because Baron and Harak is very similar. So I don't think Harak's kit will be replaced completely, but what Harak wants to do is very dependent on team build as well as obviously the meta. Like, Shamira is just too good. You don't want to eat up Shamira, so that's why Harak doesn't see that much of a use. So this will be the arrangement. I think Reina as a character is just going to be generally versatile, and like I mentioned before, Reina doesn't need Supreme Plus. You just need Reina for the debuff over here, which is at Mythic Plus, and that's good enough for bossing in most cases. So like, he's actually still very cost efficient in terms of the cost to what he can do ratio. So like, I'll still put him in the top 5 in terms of the 5 recommended units for general versatility. So these are the very generally versatile one. Like, they are usable both for PvP and PvE. Obviously, I think Feresto, Reina, and Harak will require a little bit of build up to see some use in the PvP side, but Reina is used for the swap for factional talent tiles. Feresto being the best tank, you can use him to frontline in certain teams and give the energy regen buff and damage reduction buff, and also just do a little bit of damage. Harak, you can build a team that makes him the mega carry, and with the sufficient factional talents and team protection, he will be able to steamroll and carry the team on his own. So same thing for Baron, right? You can build a team around Baron. You need quite a fair bit of heal to let him steamroll. And then Twins is just versatile. Like, Twins can be used in almost any team. So yeah, you should be able to find some use for Twins in PvP. So these are the most commonly used, most versatile character in the top 5. So this will be my placement. I think between Harak and Feresto, it depends on whether or not you are using other tanks in the front line. Because like, there are more tank options. So I think for the tank option side, if you have a good tank and you feel that, hey, Feresto's falling off in damage and you want to put your resources into damage related units, then you can put Harak as the higher priority. So this will be the top 5. Now for the other Celestial Hypogean characters, so a thing about Scarletta is this: Scarletta is just way too niche now. Like, haven't had a really good buff on Scarletta so far, but I think she's just too slow. Like, the way Scarletta works is she needs to stay in the air for the first 15 seconds, which, as the meta becomes faster and faster, the inability to react immediately in battle is just very detrimental, and you need to fight 4v5, right, in this Scarletta team setup basis, which doesn't make her really good. So I don't recommend people investing in her, even though she has certain niches against those revive based units. So that's for Scarletta. Taylin's generally still decently good for PvP. I think the revive mechanic and the AoE damage is still really good and still very powerful in terms of like certain magical teams, especially with Tarsi still being a thing. And if you're investing in Taylin now, I think it's more so for the PvP side already, because for the PvE side, magical damage, we have Shamira, and I don't think Shamira is gonna be outskilled by Talin anytime soon, so that's that. And at the same time, in terms of the other like AoE clearance side, as long as Shamira exists, I think unless Shamira's damage is massively nerfed or she don't get like the buff that is good for her and Talin gets a godlike buff, I don't think whatever Shamira can do can be replaced by Talin. So if you're investing in her, it's also more for the PvP side right now in terms of the current hero pool and the meta. And then Atalia is strictly PvP centric, and you need a lot of stats on her. So I'm running P4 characters and I'm not investing in her because like in my bracket, you'll probably need P3 or P4 to make her really powerful and carry you. So like, yeah, it's just very expensive, very costly, but very strong. Like if you're in a newer server where everyone else is at a lower tier and you can afford to match her tier to the rest of your server, I think she's the strongest standalone PvP character. So that's for Atalia. Dani is generally PvP centric as well, and with all these recent more powerful ultimate centric carries, as well as like just having more units where they can spam their ultimates faster, like with the help of Pandora or them getting a lot of energy. I think being able to stop those energy casting or the ultimate casting with Dahlia is going to give you the edge in PvP. But this unit is really strictly PvP, so that is, I'll say, something that you can consider after you're done with your generally good units. If let's say you're low on resources, so that's for Dahlia. I think he's good for PvP and he's quite, I'll say like quite game changer. Like there's certain teams where if you have a Dahlia to shut them down and you burst them down before they do anything, even if they are very powerful, yeah, they just lose the match because they can't cast their ultimate. So that's for Dahlia. Dino has been power crept. I think Dino is just a result of power creeping. So like the Scarletta as well as Dino, they are the first two Celestial units. So Dino used to be the Dun and Dino hyper carry, but right now I think it's Dun and Atalia that's more powerful. So as a result of power creeping, and there's still like Baron right here, which scales a lot better as well, and it's just a lot tankier because he has a lot of HP. So that's why like Dino has fallen out of favor, which I don't recommend anyone to invest in him right now unless you have a lot of spare resources. So that's for the Celestial side. For the Hypogean side, I don't have Cryonia. Cryonia specifically is also a very PvP centric character. With the Cryonia combo, Cryonia Pandora is a good answer to the likes of Saida or revive base unit, because Cryonia is able to insta-kill the unit in the ultimate, and if your Cryonia's ultimate can come online really fast, you can shut down the likes of Saida really fast because they just cannot revive when they die. So that's one way to use Cryonia, but Cryonia is also very PvP centric, so that's why I don't have her. I like my unit to have versatility. So that's for Cryonia. I think Kulu has good investment long-term value because what she does is very unique. She generates a war, slows down the advances of the enemy, and I think on the PvP side, it's a very counter mechanic. So like, if you're investing in her for PvP, I think she's quite a good choice for the long run because the kit is unique. I think like the more powerful melee units get released, the more relevant Kulu can become, because just slowing them down and preventing them from coming to your side is gonna be pretty big. So that's why we have Zendrox right now, which can destroy the rock immediately to just charge through at the start of battle. So that's that. But Kulu's like walling ability in terms of the demolition zone is what makes her really unique. And then with the addition of the damage amplification and some AoE damage, she's a good semi-carry in the team as well. So that's for Kulu, but PvP centric. Barrow, similar to Dino, has sort of fallen a lot in terms of the PvP power rating. Yeah, like basically they just got power crept. So like Barrow is the very first Hypogean character, Dino is the second Celestial, Saida is the first Celestial unit. So they are like the super early one. The only one that is still relevant that is from their batch is actually Reina. So Reina is mainly used for the Dream Realm side for the debuff. But even for Reina's slot, I think he's slowly falling off. Cause like there's just more buffers, there's just more debuffers running around. So like he's not a must anymore as compared to what he was in the past. So that's for Reina. Kulu's good for the uniqueness, but also PvP centric, and then Cryonia is definitely PvP centric. So that's for the thing. And so you guys might be wondering, like, between Cryonia as well as Kulu, who is better? So I think as a standalone Hypogean character, I think Kulu is better to go with all your non-celestial Hypogean carries. For Cryonia's case, yes, Pandora Cryonia is strong, but you need Pandora built up. It's just more costly. So if you have the resources, I think Cryonia will give you better results in terms of PvP dominance. you have all the units built up, but Kuru as a standalone unit can go into most teams and can give you good variance in terms of team builds. So that's for Kuru. So last unit, Saida. I don't use Saida as much myself on my global account, but I've seen some amazing replays of Saida on other accounts where she basically just steamroll the opponent as long as they have no way to burst her down. There's no way to slow down her ultimate casting and prevent her from reviving. So you have answers for Saida. You have the insta-Q from Cryo. You have like Skalita that can send her out. You have like a very fast Shimera team with Pandora to just steamroll as fast as possible. Don't give her the time to spam the ultimate. You can also deal with her by just preventing her from using the ultimate with Danlia. So for Saida's case, there are answers, right? But that doesn't deny the fact that Saida is still one of the stronger PvP character right now because of the annoying revive mechanic, the ability to heal herself, generate the shield for the team, and then just spam the ultimate and eventually give you a massive control right here. So Saida is PvP centric right now. But with Primal Lord's release and the Crystal Crawler Primal Lord potentially becoming a Dream Realm boss, this is where Saida has this very niche one boss strengths for the PvE side. So like, not sure whether or not that will be massive, but you can definitely invest in Saida just for that Primal Lord ranking for Crystal Crawler, right? And obviously maybe in the future the Dream Realm side, although I personally feel that if they were to release Crystal Crawler as a Dream Realm boss in the future, there will be newer banner characters that can have good mechanics against that boss, which will require you to spend some resources on them. So Saida's value now is very high because of that only, and if you have substitute for that, then Saida might not be that high. So my honest advice would be, if you don't have that much resources, don't go for Saida. Yeah, she's gonna give you good Primal Lord damage, but if you don't have much resources, I think you have better stuff to be concerned about. But if you do have, then just go for her, because Primal Lord is going to obviously, like, you know, be something that you chase after if you're spending money in the game, and she's gonna be a decent Dream Realm boss for this exact same boss that we're talking about. So that's for Saida. Like, PvP centric right now, not recommended for the low resource players, but could be a good unit in the future. Who knows? But then if that's the case, if she's good in the future and you desperately need her, then going for her later in the next season is not too late as well, right? So that's pretty much it for this video. Just a simple priority breakdown with my own account, as well as my experience with the unit in the different game modes. So generally, the top 5 right here, I think if you are new, just go for Twins and Baron first, because I think their longevity is guaranteed. Reina at M+, I think no matter what, we'll be able to find some use, even for the early game to the late game for the Dream Realm bossing side. There might be replacement in the future, so like, he's lower here. Like, I think these two will be the higher priority first. And then Harak and Feresto, it's subjective, because for Feresto's case, like I mentioned, there are other tank options right now, right? So like, if you are building up other tank options, and then like, whatever Feresto can do, you have other units that can replace him, then like, I don't think he will be a priority for you. Like, for example, Theodore's a good unit. This is a good buffer right now. Decent tank with some damage as well. Not as good as Feresto, but a decent replacement, right? And at the same time, Iron Armors combo is going to require you to have Armors. So Armors is your Iron Armors tank in that team. So that's that. So you do have a few tank options, and like, since his damage is falling off, he's more used for his utility, then like, he's not a priority to bump up as much as possible, because for his utility side, if you're using him for Crit Shell Brute, right now for Feresto, if you're using him just for Crit Shell Brute to be eaten up by Crit Shell Brute, then you don't need a lot of stats on him, right? And then if you're using him for the energy regen and damage reduction buff, doesn't matter, because the stats is going to be the same no matter which level or tier he is. So that's what I mean by Feresto is not that high in priority, because his use is no longer as damage centric. So he's not as stats reliant. You can make do with 1 or 2 copies of this unit. So that's why I put him on the lower rankings. So yep, that's pretty much it for the top 5 in terms of the priority. And thank you very much for tuning in. Let me know your opinions of the different Celestial Hypogean characters and which one you're going after. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys!